Dying Unfinished, the scene I'm going to read from is where Rosa meets her husband Antonio for the first time in Paris. This is Rosa's voice. Antonio sliced through the cords that bound me so tightly to my father. He was the only one strong enough to do this. When we first met one cold winter afternoon in a cafe on the left bank, I perceived in that first instance the essence of who he was, as I think we often do before our wishes, our fears, our habitual responses hide the essence, hide the truth of another person. His eyes made me think of the sea. He said he was a writer, but I could see he dissipated much of his energy in talk and in frenetic activity. While we drank red wine, he talked about Don Quixote as cerebral, while Sancho Panza, he said, was the vegetative aspect, and Dulcinea the illusory ideal. These were three essential aspects of human nature that any story needed to address, he said. Scribbling his notes on the back of a napkin, he handed it to me, as if he knew it would become a keepsake. Later, we went back to his apartment in the 4e arrondissement. We entered through a heavy wooden door into a large courtyard. I could imagine horses tethered there in former times, blowing steamy breaths, filling the air with the odor of fresh manure. A group of housewives were gossiping. "Bonjour, Antonio," one of them yelled. "Cette fille-là, elle est jolie." "The women like to flirt with me," he said. "I'm the janitor. I clean the stairs." His apartment had an air of threadbare aristocracy. There were 2 rooms and an alcove with a stove and a sink. The toilet was outside on the landing. It consisted of a cement hole in the floor. In his main room was a double bed, a black wooden table with faded gilt trim and curved legs, and 3 ancient chairs covered in damask. A corner bookshelf contained volumes with French and Spanish titles. There was a tape player, gold satin drapes faded with age, an earthen red tile floor. We made love, and although he was vigorous, it wasn't satisfying. There was a mechanical quality to his lovemaking. His skin was pale, nearly hairless, his body muscular and bony. Afterwards, he ran his hands over my body. "How thin you are," he said. As I was shivering in the cold, he put a maroon satin robe around my shoulders and made me a cup of Japanese tea.